The Dragon Lady was bound to a human mechanic by law, but his first act as husband stunned them all. The Galactic Council chambers hummed with anticipation as Siltharion observed the proceedings from her designated platform. Her scales, iridescent purple and silver, caught the artificial lights of 1,000 worlds represented in this hall. As a draconian noble, one of the ancient species that had sailed the stars for millennia before humans even discovered fire, she should have felt dignified. Instead, she felt like merchandise. Lady Siltharion of House Vexthor. The adjudicator's voice echoed through the chamber. Under Galactic Restoration Act 7B, you are hereby assigned to Toriel Nox, human mechanic, Sector 7, Mars Colony. This bond is legally binding for a period of no less than 5 standard years. Siltharion's jaw tightened, smoke curling from her nostrils. The Restoration Act, a punishment disguised as rehabilitation. Her family had backed the wrong side in the Coalition War, and now the Draconians were paying the price. Noble houses were being redistributed among the victor species, bound to them in servitude contracts the Council euphemistically called cultural exchange partnerships. The humans had won that war. Impossibly, infuriatingly, they had won. She'd expected to be bound to a human official, perhaps a military commander or a politician, someone who would parade her as a trophy. Instead, they'd assigned her to a mechanic, a working-class human who probably lived in some cramped habitat module, reeking of machinery and cheap synthetic food. The transport to Mars took 3 days. Siltharion spent most of it staring out the viewport, watching the red planet grow larger. She'd been to 100 worlds, but never this one. Mars, humanity's first colony, barely 2 centuries old. An infant's cradle compared to draconian history. The landing facility was utilitarian, all steel and efficiency. No artistry, no elegance. A human official processed her papers with mechanical politeness, then directed her to Bay 14 where Toriel Nox maintained his workshop. She found him under a cargo hauler, only his legs visible. The shop was surprisingly spacious, filled with ships in various states of repair. The air smelled of ozone, hydraulic fluid, and something else, something that reminded her oddly of home. Hot metal. Nox, she announced, her voice carrying the authoritative tone of nobility. I am Lady Siltharion. I believe you've been expecting me. The legs shifted and a mechanic's creeper rolled out from under the hauler. The human was younger than she'd expected, perhaps 30 standard years. Dark hair, darker eyes with grease smeared across his cheek. He stood wiping his hands on a rag and looked at her with an expression that was neither awed nor intimidated. Yeah, he said simply. You can put your stuff in the back. There's a room set up, no bowing. No honorifics. Siltharion felt her temper flare. I am a noble of House Vexthor. You will address me properly. Toriel looked at her for a long moment, then shrugged. You're Siltharion. I'm Toriel. We're going to be stuck with each other for 5 years, so maybe we skip the whole master-servant performance. She wanted to breathe fire at his insolence. But the Council's restrictions on her kind were absolute. Violence meant immediate imprisonment. She settled for a cold glare that had made lesser beings tremble. He just turned back to his work. Dinner's at 7. Make yourself at home. The first week was torture. Siltharion remained in her quarters mostly, a converted storage space that Toriel had, she grudgingly admitted, prepared with some consideration. It had high ceilings for her wings, temperature controls for her preferred heat, and a charging platform for her few personal devices. But she was a prisoner in all but name, and they both knew it. On the 8th day, Toriel knocked on her door. Got something for you. She opened it warily. He stood there holding a datapad and a small metal object. A key. This is the ownership transfer for the shop, he said, handing her the datapad. It's in your name now. Legally, you own this business. That key opens the main office and the safe. Siltharion stared at him, confused. What are you talking about? The law says you're bound to me, Toriel explained, his expression serious. It says you have to stay here for 5 years. But it doesn't say you have to be my servant. I checked. 3 lawyers checked. So I'm making you the owner. You run things however you want. I work for you now. The datapad trembled in her claws. This is... Why would you do this? Because that law is bullshit, Toriel said flatly. Your people lost a war. That doesn't make you less than me. You're obviously smart, educated, and from what I've read about Draconians, Your people were building starships when humans were still figuring out agriculture. He paused. You shouldn't be anyone's servant, especially not because some politicians decided collective punishment was justice. Siltharian felt something crack inside her chest, the shell of resentment and pride she'd built around herself. You would give up your business? Just like that? It's not giving up, Toriel said with a slight smile. I'm investing. You know ships, right? Your people have been flying them for thousands of years. I know human engineering. Together we could probably build the best repair shop on Mars. He extended his hand. Partners? She looked at his hand, that strange human gesture of equality. Slowly she reached out and took it, her scaled palm dwarfing his. Partners, she agreed, her voice catching slightly. News of Toriel Knox's first act as husband by law spread through the Martian colony within days, then through the solar system within weeks. Human news networks called it everything from radical kindness to political statement. Galactic observers noted it with various reactions, some dismissive, others intrigued, but in Bay 14, Siltharian and Toriel simply got to work. She redesigned the workflow, incorporating draconian efficiency principles. He taught her the peculiarities of human-made ships. Within 6 months, Nox Vexthor Solutions had a waiting list. One evening, as they closed up the shop, Siltharian looked at her partner. Why did you really do it, Toriel? The truth, he thought for a moment. My grandmother used to say that humans got where they are not, because we're the strongest or the smartest, but because we're too stubborn to accept things as they are. That law was wrong, so I changed what I could. He smiled. Besides, you're a hell of an engineer. Siltharian laughed, a sound like distant thunder. Your species is very strange, Toriel Knox. Yeah, he agreed. We get that a lot. And in that moment, watching the Martian sunset paint the sky in shades of rust and gold, Siltharian understood something profound. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their military might. It was their stubborn, beautiful refusal to accept that anyone should be less than free. End.